Hi neighbors, and welcome to Miracle Farm 1927 Homestead. I was going to be out in the barn this morning mucking the stalls for the goats. We're getting ready for babies pretty soon. So I wanted to have a talk with you guys about raw dairy and the breeding situation, if we're forcing our animals to get bred, and some of the diseases that you've heard about from drinking raw dairy. So stay with us and we'll be right back. So we are happy to talk with you about some of my experience after having dairy goats for 25 years. I'm not an expert, but been doing it for a while, and I want you to know, I'd like to share with you the experiences that we've had. Here we go. Anybody want some bread? Huh? There we go. There we go. No. No, jumping. Oh, you got your mouth full. Bill, you ain't got none yet. How do you go? You got a little brown girl. No jumping. No jumping. Hi guys, welcome back. And like I said, I've been milking little dairy goats for 25 years. So, like I said also, I am no expert. I'm just going to tell you what my family has experienced in those 25 years with my children growing up. Miracle just turned 24, so I can give you a good idea on what to look out for as far as this segment is about the diseases. So I'm going to go through the top 3. Number 1 is Salmonella, 2 E. coli, and 3 tuberculosis. And guess what, guys? My family or extended family has had all 3 of these. All 3. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. But first, I want to talk to you about how I started my children out on unpasteurized milk. I did not let my kids, my babies, have unpasteurized milk until they were over 1 year old. Now, I nursed them, so that wasn't a big deal anyway. But when I started them out on milk, on raw dairy, I started out with 1/4 milk, 1/4 raw milk, 3/4 store-bought milk. And gradually, over a couple months, as I saw them not having any reactions to those, I got up to full raw dairy. Okay, so and that's how I introduced them. If you want to think about it like this, your raw dairy, lots of bacteria. Yep, you're exactly right. It's got lots of bacteria in it. That's why when we go to different countries, maybe down south or something, and they say don't drink the water or don't eat the food or drink bottled water, is because our bodies are so weak and have no immunity toward these other bacteria at all that, yeah, it makes us sick right away. You'll be running to the bathroom. So that's one of the reasons why we don't do that. We drink raw milk. We want the bacteria in our stomachs to be the right kind and very strong. So we do all of our dairy products like milk and yogurt and cheese, like that, with our dairy goats. So you are now wondering how we ended up with 3: Salmonella, E. coli, tuberculosis. Okay, so I'm here to tell you, our family has experienced all 3 of those, the big 3 that you worry about drinking raw dairy. But sorry guys, I hate to disappoint the naysayers. None of them came from my goats. Absolutely 0 of those sicknesses that my family has had came from drinking the raw goat's milk. So you can take that with a grain of salt. That's our experience with our family. A family member actually got the tuberculosis from working in the health field. So they now carry that with them. My daughter, when she was a little baby, got a hold of, well, I probably gave it to her because I wasn't thinking, got a hold of some raw cake batter that had store-bought eggs in it. Yep. She got salmonella, ended up in the hospital from store-bought grade A eggs. And then just a couple of years ago, 50 people at a place where I volunteer at got E. coli. 3 of those people were hospitalized, and I was probably as sick as I've ever been, but I didn't have to go to the hospital. And it was from what? That inspected, bagged lettuce for salad. It was salad packages. So we have definitely had experience with all 3 of those. They know what they look like. We know what they look like, but we have not gotten anything from the goats. Okay, so you might be worried about tuberculosis is probably the number one. I see the arguments from people that just don't have any experience. We're not going to call them names or anything, but they just haven't ever had any experience with raw milk. So, and that is one that can be tested for. It can be treated in goats, and I don't know if there's an immunization for it or not, but we don't do that anyway. And how do they get that? Well, it doesn't just fall out of the air. I would have to bring an infected animal onto my farm, and they would have to actually get in contact with sneezing or coughing or bodily fluids, like drinking out of the same trough, to get that. It has to be from another source. Now, it can be spread from a wild animal, but because these are goats, and I have 6 strands of hot wire, normally wild animals do not get into my pastures with my goats. So that's not really a concern of mine, and I don't test for it. In 25 years, we've not had it. That's not to say tomorrow one of my goats might get down sick and have it, but we've just not had any problem with it whatsoever. And the E. coli, and you can get that from anywhere, and salmonella too. So I'd be more worried about getting that from my chickens, and I've never had it. Now, I do have one thing, and you probably do on your farm, and that is rabies. No. There is one thing that you need to be concerned about that I do have on my farm, and I had it on my other farm, and that is tetanus. And I do immunize against tetanus. I've had goats with it. They can get it from just a scratch that you don't know about, and they suffer. Even if they live, they suffer. So we do the vaccine for that, but that's the only one. And but I just, like I said, I just wanted to ease your mind a little bit for people that is scared of that. You got to know your herd. You can't even test for some of these things until they're a year old. And if you've got nice healthy goats with bright eyes and and that's showing no signs of sickness, that's not always a sign. But if you've had them for a while and they're not showing any signs, some of my goats are old, and they wouldn't have gotten old if they were sick. So, like I said, the only time I've ever had it is when I got it from store-bought food. So I'm not as scared of my goats. I'm way more scared of a bag of salad from the grocery store than I am of my raw milk from my goats, if that puts it into perspective any better. So the next subject we're going to talk about is breeding and what my goats might think about it. So I'm going to take you out into the pasture. Might be a little windy out there, and I apologize for that before we go. But I want you to meet somebody, and I want you to get her perspective about being bred when she doesn't want to be bred. So here we go. Here is one of the fences, 6 strands of electric that she got through. Okay, this is the little goat I want to talk about right now, and the wind is blowing a little bit, so again I apologize. So I'm going to stay behind the camera so you can hear me. This is Muffy. She is 10 years old, which means she has probably had 9. There's a good shot of her udder. That's a 10-year-old udder, guys. It's lopsided and hanging a little low, but that's okay. She's an old girl. And the thing I want to address about breeding is, and here's snow right here. The thing I wanted to address about breeding is people are talking about raw milk, and oh, you can't get raw milk unless it rhymes with wrap, unless you wrap that animal. Yeah, right. That is from somebody that has no idea. They must not even own a cat. If you think this animal, that I'm going to force it to get bred. So, and that's the reason why I wanted to give you a little idea about this girl right here. Last year, I showed you that fence before that has 6 strands. This fence right here that I'm at has 5 strands. And about when it starts cooling off in the fall, these guys will come into heat. I don't force them to come into heat. It is nature. Nature is telling them it's time to get bred. Okay. Well, I had Muffy locked up where you saw that 6 strands. And out here in this 5 strands, there was a billy goat. Now, guys, I'm not touching this fence. This fence will knock you on your hind end. I mean, it's that much electricity. But guess what? Muffy's out there. She came into heat, and she hunted down that billy. She broke through 2 fences to get bred. And as soon as she got bred, it took 2 minutes. She was ready to go back to the barn. You do not force these animals to get bred. When they're ready to get bred, they will get bred. If there's no billy goat around, of course not, but she didn't care that there wasn't no billy goat around. She is old enough to know that that billy goat has what she needs, and she was in misery. She wanted to get bred, and she went and busted through 2 fences to get bred. Now, this is a regenerative homestead, and we have, my daughter has cows, and I have goats that I milk. And I'm not talking about commercial practices at all. I'm talking about small homesteads because you want to provide your family with some good, nutritious milk. She's 10 years old. This is her last set of babies I'm going to let her have because she's old. She doesn't know she's old. Don't tell her she's old, but she's old. I don't want to put her through this, but I don't have to move her off the farm because if there's a billy here, she's going to find him. So I'm going to move her about 1/4 of a mile away to get her away from the Billy. And I'll tell you something else about this Billy. My Billy this year was very, very, very young and way smaller than her. He didn't wrap her, okay? She had to squat down for him to breed her. There is no way that little tiny pygmy could have reached her at the age he was. She was the first one that he bred, and so he was still really young. He's grown a little bit now, but he's still not big enough to reach her. So, you know, that just blows all that out. Oh, there's the baby calf. That just blows all that out of the water. You can't listen to these people that are saying this kind of stuff. They just, you know. Now I have worked with dairies, and I know that when they want to have cows bred at a certain time and things like that, they'll give them shots and things to bring them in heat. But out of here on the homestead, where we just want a little bit of milk for our family, you know, we have no interest in that kind of thing at all. These animals are well treated. I don't think there's enough grass out here for these guys, so I'm going to be letting them out. They're bred, and their little tummies aren't full enough, so I'm fixing to let them out here in just a little bit so they can get out here in the tall grass. Oh, I had to take them out. Why did I have to take them out? Because she's beating the Billy up. She's beating the Billy. She's bred. She has no use for him. He has horns, and she can still beat him up. So when he was trying to get food, she was beating him up. Now, he beats everybody else up, but he can't beat Muffy up. She's the queen. So I just wanted to address that. Billies are hard to keep on a farm because they do stink only when the girls are in heat. So if you don't want that around your house, it's kind of more difficult. But as far as our goats getting wrapped, you know, that's a silly notion coming from somebody that has no idea about animals. And here comes the blueberry. What do you think about it? And guess what? This cow right here, of course, she's not old enough to come in heat, but she could be in a pasture right now with a big old bull. My other calves are, and guess what? She doesn't come in the heat, so the bull doesn't bother her. He doesn't bother the ones that aren't coming in heat. Animals are smart. She could just run away from him. She can't get bred if she's not in heat, guys. It's just nature. That's the way it works. So anyway, I hope that kind of answers that question. And I'm gonna go let these guys out so they can graze a little bit better. They didn't seem to like the hay we was throwing to them, and that's okay. So we'll see you guys next time. You're a blessing to us. And if you have any more questions, I'm going to do a series on goats one day when I can sit down and really talk about them. And but I just saw that this morning. It was so silly online about how these animals are just, you know, so mistreated and everything. And it's so to get milk. Guess what? You see that udder on that goat? Well, let's look at this one more time before we leave. You see that udder? Get in focus. You know how much milk is in that udder? 1 gallon. Her baby is going to weigh 3 to 5 pounds. If I don't milk the excess milk off of her, she will have mastitis. The baby cannot possibly drink all that milk. And she's getting old, and because she's getting old, she might only have one baby. I'm not sure. But there's no way one baby can drink 1 gallon of milk a day. It would be sick. It'd get diarrhea. So, yeah, there's another answer to that question. I'm not stealing the baby's milk. She has more milk than the baby can drink. Oh, people are so silly. Anyway, let's get a good picture of the calf, and we will see you later, guys. And like I said, you are a blessing to us, and you are prayed for.